Welcome to another exciting episode of the AMATYMA series, where I get to have conversations with different men who are either single, married, divorced, or widowed. I'm very excited about this duo of men that I'm about to have a conversation with, particularly because the work that they do is very similar to what we do as the AMATYMA Wellness Network, but I'll allow them to obviously take us through what they do, why they do what they do, what keeps them ticking. So on my left, I've got Craig from Father a Nation, and then on my right, I've got NKOSINATHI from Father Figure. Gentlemen, welcome.
Thanks.
Nikrend?
Thank you, man. Great to be here.
I'm saying Nikrend to you as well, Craig, because I know you can speak the lingo. Are you gentlemen good?
Yeah, sure. Craig
Welcome.
says it's from Google, actually.
Are you from Google? Googs?
I know it well. I'm not from it, but I know it
You
well.
know it very well. I mean, your work spreads across different townships.
Absolutely.
For those who don't know who Craig is, can you please briefly tell us who you are and where you're from?
Sure, TT. Well, I run an organization called Father a Nation. I've written a couple of books on fatherhood, positive masculinity, and I mean that's I think where we hit it off. I mean, just
Absolutely.
exactly the same heart, the same mind. So we work a lot. We work with men throughout South Africa, fortunate, and we believe if we can heal men, restore men to be good fathers, mentors, role models, husbands, lovers, whatever, we can heal our nation.
Absolutely.
And by extension the world. So that's what we're all about.
And I love your work, Craig. And I remember meeting you through MONNA.
All right.
And I think he gave me a copy of your first book.
Right.
There was a cookout that was happening somewhere in Sunninghill.
That's
and,
right.
You
I
were
remember
giving
that.
out all the men in the room
Yeah.
the books. Do you want to share some of the books, the titles, so that we can obviously show them? Let me just see.
Sure. There's It's a Dad. That's for
It's a
expectant
Dad.
fathers.
Yeah.
Men who are about to have a child, and there's not a lot of material about fathers.
Sure.
Dad is for. It talks about the 12 dad verbs. It's just an excellent guide on how to be the father your children need to be. The word father is a verb. It's what you do, not what you are.
Absolutely.
Then we've got the 6-pack of champion virtues. That's about what it means to be a good man, a great man. Men are very much on the back foot now. In fact, masculinity has been demonized. When you hear the word masculinity, the other word that comes to mind is toxic.
Absolutely.
And masculinity is not toxic. Masculinity is a beautiful gift to humanity. We're in one mind there, all three of us.
Yeah.
But it can also go wrong.
It can.
We need to teach young boys how to be good men. Because no boy is born an abuser.
Absolutely.
No boy is born a racist. No boy is born a misogynist.
Sure.
These things are learned and through woundedness. So this teaches men how to be good men. And then finally, there's no excuse for abuse, and that's really about gender-based violence.
Right.
Why does gender-based violence happen, and what we need to do to overcome it? This is a workbook we use for young men at schools and colleges,
Right.
to go through the 6-pack, to become, to develop your inner 6-pack.
Inner 6-pack. I like that. Yeah, your work is commendable, Craig, and I've been blessed to work with you over time. And I think, especially last year, we pushed that whole no excuse #NoExcuse campaign,
Right.
to educate men
Yes.
about gender-based violence,
Right.
about the fact that there's absolutely no excuse for
Absolutely.
any human being, in fact,
100%.
to do anything that's not worthy.
That's harmful to another
That's
human.
harmful to another human being.
And I think, TT, what's so important is to tell men, you're a gift, man.
Yeah.
You're designed to be a gift to humanity.
Sure.
You're not a demon, you're not toxic, you're not bad. But how do I do that? How am I a gift? And, it's so important for us to teach men that.
Absolutely. All right, I'll come back to you just now, Craig. NKOSINATHI,
Hey, sir.
you represent an organization called Father Figure.
Yeah.
I remember how I was introduced to you. Malcolm X
Yeah.
gave me a call, and he said to me, I'm with these two young men, and they want to meet up with you. They're doing some amazing work around fatherhood and whatnot. Please, can you meet up with them? And I said to him, dude, I'm happy to meet anyone that is pushing the agenda of trying to create a platform to promote good men, brotherhood, fatherhood. And so that's how we got to meet. But for those that don't know you, who is NKOSINATHI and what is Father Figure all about?
Yeah. So Father Figure is a program of Lifalekhaya Foundation. Lifalekhaya Foundation started in 2015. And so funny that its first work that we done was in Tembisa, although it was registered in Cape Town. And fast forward to 2019, we started Father Figure, and that's due to certain personal challenges that we faced, like the passing of my youngest brother, whom I founded Lifale Kaya Foundation with. Brutally stabbed in Guguletu, passed away. He's my father's son, and when I say that, is that he never grew up in the same household as us, as my other brothers. And so he got swallowed by the streets. And when I looked back, and he passed away in 2018, when I looked at it, I'm like, this young man is, he lacked a father figure in his life.
Sure.
And then a year later, 2019, we formed Father Figure. We started it as a homework club at the Guguletu Library, taking kids and trying to see if they could read more books than spend time in front of their phones, in front of the TV. And that was an exciting period. And then we know COVID hit, and then we had to see how do we then now involve men, because public areas are now closed down. We can't go to the library anymore. And then we started engaging men, and as time went, we had to have a way of how do we then get men in a nice and casual way to interact with Father Figure. And then we started making the Father Figure apparel, your T-shirts and your caps. And that got it got going in terms of township lingo,
right,
be a present dad, and that kind of stuff. And it got the traction. It wasn't our main. We didn't want to say okay, but it got the attention that we wanted, and it got men to talk, and that's what we need. We would need men to start to speak out. We need men to be there. So Father Figure is all about advocating for father's presence in children's lives, men's involvement in society.
Sure.
And that's what the program is about.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So I was very deliberate in bringing the both of you to this particular episode, because I think the three organizations are doing similar work in different spaces. If you look at what AMATYMA does, we are a wellness network for men. We focus on 3 pillars of wellness, which is physical wellness, mental wellness, and financial wellness. But if you also look at what Father Figure is doing with their interventions, if you look at what Father and Nation is doing with your interventions, it's all designed to achieve the same goal.
Absolutely.
We're trying to build a society of good men.
Yeah.
We're trying to build a society where the boys have got something to refer to. A lot of brands, unfortunately, focus their energies and budgets, and I say this openly anywhere I go, on the girl child and women, which is critical.
Yeah.
I cannot stress how critical that is. However, and this is a big however, you then have stats that talk to the fact that every 63 seconds, a woman or child are a victim of gender-based violence, and the biggest perpetrators of that are men. And you ask those organizations and brands, why aren't you guys focusing on the men and the boy child?
100%.
I have never received a response from them, because they're saying, but that's our strategic focus as a brand. We're focusing on women empowerment. We're focusing on the girl child, and all is well with that. But you're forgetting the boy child.
Which is where the danger comes from.
Exactly.
So we've got a long road ahead of us, gentlemen, in the quest to try and get to what we do. But we've started, right? And there's a lot of other men, I'm sure, in organizations that are doing what we are doing, which is similar to what we're doing. But what I want to challenge us sitting here is, when are we going to come together and create an event or a series of events where people can identify all of us in one space? Because we do things so well in silos. I can't wait for the day that there's an event flyer and it's got the Father and Nation logo, it's got Father Figure logo, it's got AMATYMA logo, and a string of corporate brands.
Beautiful. From
car brands, from your banks, from your clothing labels, that are already making a lot of money from men who are consumers.
Yes.
So we've got a big challenge here. But what I want to get to is, you guys are running these organizations, you are trying to fix the man. Who's fixing you? Because we do all this work, but who phones Craig and say, Craig, how are you doing, man? How are you? NKOSINATHI, how are you doing, man?
Sure.
How are you? Because we are so focused on fixing other people that we forget to fix ourselves as men. I'll leave it to both of you to answer, whoever's comfortable to step into it.
TT, you got my number, my brother.
Sure, it starts there.
It starts there. Look, I mean, there's an amazing story. A guy, I don't know if you had Joe Black. He's an Afrikaans singer. He's become a good mate. He's a wonderful man. Also doing very similar work to us in schools.
Right.
And he went to a funeral once of a man who committed suicide. And he was watching the coffin being carried by 6 guys, you know, 3 guys on either side. And this thought occurred to him. He thought, you know, these guys are carrying the body of their dead friend. But where were they before he died? Why were they not carrying him before? So he's come up with this concept of 6, that every man needs 6 brothers that are close to him, that are carrying him, that can see, hey, man, Tita, you, man.
We are here for you.
We're here for you. But, man, brother, I can see you're not happy today, you know, no matter what. You know, because, you know, they say the biggest lie that men tell is, I'm fine. I'm fine, you know. You come and say, Craig, how are you doing? Brother, I'm fine, man. I'm good. I'm
all good.
Meanwhile, man, I'm dying
You're
inside.
broken.
I'm broken inside, you know. So if we've got 6 brothers, I mean, start with 1 or 2 that know you, care for you, check in on you, hold you accountable, can see in your eyes, man, no matter what your mouth is saying.
He's lying.
There's something going on here, man, and they can pick it up and talk to you. I tell you what, we'd be in a far better place.
I agree fully. But who checks up on you, Craig? Who are those 6 men? Do you have those 6 men in your life?
You know, I'm building them. Building them, and it's an intentional process. You know, it's intentionality. It's reaching out. You know, brothers get scared when it comes to intimacy.
Yeah,
they do,
and uncomfortable.
Vulnerability doesn't sit well with men because you know we've grown up in a society that says you got to be Superman, you got to be
strong,
you got to be strong, you got to hold it together.
Men don't cry.
Men don't cry, and financially you've got to be cool. When you're not financially, you still borrow the money and pretend. You know, so I'm building that. I've got some great mates. You know, I mean, a couple of them are overseas. But you know, I've got mates I chat to every week. My son, funny enough, is a brilliant. He's just turned 30, and he's probably my best friend. I'm probably his best friend. You know, he's a great guy. You know, once kids grow up, they progress from being kids to being brothers. You know? And although I'm still the father and give the advice, etc. You know, so I've got men. I've got men in my life that are close, that I share with. You know,
absolutely.
But I'm growing that, and you know, it's not easy to grow it because I mean, guys,
because it's trust.
It's trust
that comes in the picture as well.
Trust, vulnerability, and I think the way to start with it is to be vulnerable yourself. Start.
Yeah.
You know, I think particularly with guys like us, it's a challenge because men look to us as mentors.
Yeah.
They see
and they look for answers from us.
They look, you know. So when you sit down and have lunch, I mean, they're pouring their heart out. They're not they're not checking in on you. They see Nati as a father figure. They see you as this, you know, guy who's done so well in life, the cribs, all that, you know. And they think, well, man, you know, I've got nothing to give. You know, you can give me.
Sure.
But so we need to be intentional about being vulnerable and choosing those guys and building that band of brothers.
Sure.
It's crucial.
Band of brothers, the 6-pack of brothers.
Exactly.
It's all about 6 packs, eh?
The 6.
I think we're missing one, the actual 6-pack just here.
Literally.
Especially for what we're talking about right now. 2 for you, 2 for you.
Some Zamaleks in the middle.
Some Zamaleks.
Yeah. Organized, guys.
Nati.
Honestly, guys, you know what? I think we hide behind our brands. We hide behind the social platforms that we're on. Is that we want to make sure that we create the perfect content.
Yeah.
And we don't realize that we're creating the wrong image out there.
Yeah.
So, especially from where I come from, I'm from Cape Town. People are like, nah, that is hitting it in Joburg and stuff like that. Not knowing that it's going to be, I'm going to have to fry eggs this evening or something like that. And it's true, guys. It's true. How do I call TT and say, TT, even though you're wearing my T-shirt, I can't pay my bills this month and stuff like that. What is he going to say? Like,
we're scared
this
to
guy,
say those things. Yeah.
And it happens, guys. And
are you saying this because you gave me T-shirts or what?
Yeah?
I'm just checking because this guy's giving
maybe
a few T-shirts. I'm like, is he calling me out on my own show?
I have to.
I'm loving the Burgard shirt, man. It's beautiful.
It's
beautiful.
It's a proper quality T-shirt. I'll give it to them.
Proper. Yeah.
And you said it in the last event you that I attended in Sofeng. You said it that we need to call each other out as guys. And we cry in silos, guys, and it's painful. And even as I'm sitting here right now, is that I'm very emotional about it.
Yeah.
And I don't have those friends. I don't have them. I'm here. Joburg people tell me Joburg is all about work, but I'm here now. Where do I start?
Yeah. So it's a great question, man, TT.
It is one. I'd like to know that you guys are there. And sometimes, like in business, you don't have to. You must not show your vulnerability. But if I'm building something like this is not a brand. This is a movement.
Yeah.
Never mind
It's
what,
our
what
it's
they're
our
selling
lives.
and stuff like that.
It's our lives.
It's our lives. And you're a leader, but you're also a man and
Of
a human
course.
being. And you have struggles and issues, and
Yeah.
you know, you need to deal with those things.
There's one thing that I mentioned earlier on in one of the posts. I said I'm a dad, but I'm not perfect.
No.
Nor do I strive to be perfect. It means that I've got TT there, I've got Craig, that I need to still learn from.
Sure.
They're older than me. They've got older kids than my kids. I need to still learn from them. And those kind of stuff. And if I'm vulnerable in that way to show myself and saying, listen, I'm not a perfect guy. I don't want you to make me a perfect guy.
Sure.
I just want to learn from you. And most people that you can also learn from is from those kids as well, meaning that you need to be open and listen to your kids and stuff like that. You've passed those stages. Some of us have vivid memories of them. So in order for us to recap those memories is to listen to what these kids are doing right now. And you're like,
Absolutely.
okay, this is exactly how I did this. Stop saying what I was your age once. You can't fool me. They're going to fool you there.
They're going to
So
fool
if
you.
unless you are open and be willing
Yeah.
to learn about it. Yeah.
That's quite important. What have you guys found as a big stumbling block in the work that you do in your quest to build this society of good men? I'll tell you mine. My biggest frustration with the AMATYMA Wellness Network, especially in the Telegram group that we have, you are in it.
Yeah.
I think I've even invited you, Craig. We've got about 1,000+ men in that group, but the engagement is appalling. You would send polls to inquire in certain information, like how many men are single, how many men are divorced, how many men. It's not because I'm trying to do a presentation,
Yeah.
but it's to understand the dynamic of people who are in that group so that we can have interventions that talk to those people. So, for example, a group of divorced men in the group could do well with meeting up once a month to talk about the pain that they've been through, the pain of losing a partner, the pain of going through divorce. But the engagement is so low, and I'm not sure if it's because people are there with egos of the positions and the titles that they hold, but the fact that you are in the group means you are there to seek something.
Right.
We are also instituted a Monday check-in where we, for an hour on a Monday between 7 and 8, we check in on each other. There's no agenda.
Yeah.
You just call. It's a group call, and there's no agenda. But we found that men are just not opening up.
Yeah.
What is it about us that doesn't allow us to want to talk as men openly and candidly? What is the issue that you've experienced in your work, Craig?
Men don't like asking for help. When we ask for help, we think we're less than. We think we're weak. We think we don't have it together. So we struggle to ask for help. Men also, the first thing, two women can meet, and within half an hour they know, there'll be tears. They know each other 100%. You and I will meet, and all we know after 3 hours is the fact that you support Chiefs, I support Pirates. You know what I mean?
No, I support Pirates. Please correct that. Hey, don't make mistakes. My people at Pirates will be upset with me. I am no longer with Chiefs.
You left Chiefs.
A long time ago, and I'm happy.
Are they justifying your choice?
I'm very happy. It was the best decision of my life.
But we don't talk, we don't share, we're not vulnerable because we are posing, man. Every man has a pose, I mean, when I used to live in Cape Town, I was jogging along the promenade one day and I developed this pain in my knee. So I ended up limping along the promenade in my jogging gear. Then I see these two very attractive young females jogging towards me. Yeah, what do I do, man?
Stop limping.
I stop limping. I'm running,
Typical
I'm
man.
running, and I'm in pain. And as I run past these women, I'm thinking, what the hell's wrong with you, Craig?
What's wrong with you?
I've got to be the man.
No pain, no gain.
Exactly, yeah. So we posture, we pose, we act, it's a pissing competition. Who drives the best car, who's got the nicest shirt, who's got the prettiest wife. I mean, that's what we do, as opposed to saying, we need each other, man.
Yeah.
We need each other.
Yeah.
Men commit suicide 4 times more than women. 4 times more. And that's global, that's not just South Africa.
Sure.
And the reason is, one of the big reasons, we don't share, we don't talk, we carry it.
Yeah. And we die with it.
We die with it.
Take it to
and
the grave.
It kills us sometimes,
Sure.
because,
KHULUMA, what challenges have you experienced in your work that are constantly like an uphill battle in the work you do?
The reason I moved to Johannesburg is because of that challenge.
Yeah.
You see, sometimes when you start something within your circle, and especially you speak of Cape Town from a different perspective, my man. Hey, I need to take you to Cape Town.
You need to show him around.
Well, they say a prophet is without honor in his hometown.
Yeah.
And that's what you're saying, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sure.
So when you build something around people that you come up with this idea and like, guys, this is it. They'd be like, "Ish, not now, my man."
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Let's talk
we could
late.
have a meeting right now, but the moment we get out the door, we go separate ways, even through the mind. Their mind is wandering that way and stuff like that. And I thought to myself, let me move this thing to Johannesburg.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to grow, and I don't care what fool I become. I'm gonna call Titimba. It's his problem if he doesn't. So it's those challenges, knowing that I'm starting this way. I identified it. I never identified the challenges in Johannesburg. Yes, through research, yes, I would say there's an issue there and there and there. But the one that I've experienced is the one that made me do that research
Right.
on that stuff. So the challenges is at times that, again, it goes back to the topic about men, is that we don't support each other's craft, even though you know that you are going through it yourself. You
Sure.
know that there's this thing, but you're like, why did you think of it?
Yeah.
Those kind
Yeah,
of stuff.
it's-
Why did it come from you and stuff like that? We had this conversation, Craig, out there.
Yeah.
And you've identified something about empowering men. Titi talks about the men's network. I talk about the men and the kid.
Sure.
Why should I be doing a men's network thing where I can say, Titima, you pushing
Let's
this, let me
collaborate.
stand behind you.
Yeah.
You talking about, let's get this guy's jobs. Let me stand behind you. Let's stand behind you.
Right.
It doesn't have to be difficult. This is not...
It's not a competition.
It's not a competition.
We're not
And I
selling-
think that's what we're men fail. We compete with each other.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I want,
Even when
I
there's
want
no
to be
need.
bigger, stronger, richer, drive the car better.
Yeah.
It's
And
my
that-
brand.
Exactly.
I'm holding on to it.
Exactly. Yeah. My idea.
Yeah, it's my idea. No one must come close. And for me, I must be honest, gentlemen. I'm one big believer in collaborating.
I want to honor you in that. T. I was even just saying to Nati outside there. I mean, you as much of a following as you have, you're very good at saying, you know what, this is not about me. It's about making a difference.
Absolutely.
So let's get everyone on board. You know,
Absolutely.
You do that very well, and
Thank
I think
you, sir.
that is the solution.
That is the solution, and we need to be intentional about what we do. You know, mental wellness. I want us to talk about mental wellness. It's a topic that no one wants to talk about. We always avoid it. It's always we reactive when it comes to mental wellness. We always like, oh shame, man, we didn't know he was going through that. He committed suicide. He shot himself. He drove into a wall. He shot himself and his family. We're seeing a lot of these stories of men taking the lives of their loved ones and then taking their own lives. What are we going to do, gentlemen, within the power of the networks we have, the movements we are pushing, to talk about depression, especially amongst black men? And I'm saying black men because there's this thing that depression is a white thing. It's not us. Depression and anxiety. I've been through depression. I've experienced it. I know what it's like to have anxiety. I went through a lot of anxiety during lockdown. Every time the president spoke, I had anxiety because I'm like, what is he going to say this time? That's going to affect my well-being. That's going to affect my, ability to make means and money for my family.
Right.
How do we skin this big elephant called depression?
Well, there's such a narrative in the minds of men and women and society that men have to have it together.
And keep it together.
So there's a terrible fear that if I confess that I'm depressed, that you're going to think I'm weak.
Yeah.
Even amongst brothers, even amongst men who know each other well.
True.
There's a fear that if I confess this vulnerability, I'm going to be seen as weak. They're not going to respect me anymore. And we need to change that, I mean, you take a guy like Robin Williams, the famous actor.
Absolutely.
I mean, he took his own life, suicide.
Yeah.
He was a brilliant comedian. I mean,
Brilliant.
It's a rampant thing around the world. And if we destigmatize it, but it's something that has to shift dramatically in the eyes of men and women. Let's be honest, women are very guilty of this too.
No, absolutely.
If you don't have the right trappings, you're perceived as lower status and less desirable. I mean,
True.
So it's a societal narrative, but I think it starts with us as individual men.
Yeah.
To build a circle of brothers, to find your six, to build your six.
Build a circle of brothers. Let's start there.
Absolutely, that's the bottom line. And you start by leading the way and being vulnerable.
Yeah.
You TT, celebrity, come to me and say, Craig, you know what, I'm really struggling, brother.
Yeah.
And that's how it starts.
Yeah.
And then you break the ice. And then I can say, well, man, me too, And
Sure.
then you start to share. And you build a small group and a bigger group, and the ripples start.
But I'll tell you what the challenge is there. I tell Craig, I'm going through financial difficulty. I'm experiencing some financial challenges, and things are not going well. The next day, Nati utters the same thing that I told Craig in confidence. He tells me what I told you verbatim. So verbatim that I even doubt that I even said it to you. That's a big problem, especially amongst brothers.
Well, you got to pick your brothers well, man. You got to find men you can trust.
Yeah.
Bottom line.
You know what you call that in the township is that if you couldn't keep your problem, why should I? It chowed you.
Sure.
You want your problem to chow me now? Huh?
But that's not a brother.
That's not a problem.
That's not a
And
brother.
that's how it is. And that's the problem. You mentioned depression. We need to unpack what depression is.
Yes.
We need to unpack what causes depression.
Yeah.
Number one, we need to know, and you can correct me, depression is self-inflicted, guys. It's something that you create yourself, and it starts this way. You look down, you're like, Titi didn't call me for this thing. What's wrong with me? Why didn't this do? And you start having those. And there's one thing that you told me the last time we met.
Right.
In Melville. You told me, Witty, you don't owe me anything. The first you put it out there is that you don't owe me anything. He's got his way. Our paths have crossed. They will do that, and they will find a way to cross again. You don't owe me anything, and I respected that. From there, I'm like, damn, I'm taking this. And that's the thing that I would then know, Guti, if I call TT and he tells me, Guti, I cannot do this with you right now. It has nothing to do with me. He's engaged in something else.
Yeah.
So we are, as I go back, depression is self-inflicted, and no one else can take you out of depression but yourself.
There are instances, though, where it's chemical.
Yeah.
Where it's it's a development over a period of time.
It's been proven,
Yeah, very much so. And I mean, the root out of it, sometimes one needs medication because there are chemical imbalances.
Who released that chemical? It's from your body. It doesn't just release automatically. It's something that releases because of certain thoughts, of certain traits that you're doing. It's like if you now are happy, there's a chemical that makes you happy.
But you know, for a man who's been through hell, raised badly, out of work, etc., it's almost impossible for him to have those happy thoughts and not to feel an element. So we've got to be a lot more sympathetic about people who are suffering depression. You know, if we say it's your fault, you got to, you know, some guys cannot pull themselves out of correct. You know, they need
the help.
They need counselling. They need brotherhood. They need help. They need support. They may well need medication. You know,
exactly.
Because I mean, a chemical deficiency. You can't say the same about cancer. You know, cancer is your own body killing itself, but you can't say fix yourself. You know, you need medical intervention and help. So as brothers, we need to anxiety too. You know, I mean, we go through it. You know, sometimes you just get to a situation where it's just too much to handle. You know, I've been through a divorce. I've been through financial. You know, it's just overwhelming, and I just can't pull myself out of it. And that's when we need each other to step up. You know,
I agree with that, and I like the fact that we're having this debate because it is what it is. We need to speak about these things. I mean, people come with their own opinion. So you believe firmly that this is self-inflicted.
It is self-inflicted, guys. Yes, I agree much with you, Craig, with what you're saying, and everything else that you've put on the table. That these stuff. But if I don't use all of these, you need to give me all these stuff for me to use and get myself out of there. And I need this. You need to point me to that direction. You need to point me to that direction. I always say at times is that we're trying to rehabilitate men, empower them. If I have a man here that's actually doing drugs and I take him and I put him here to normal state again, and like he's fine now, he's cleaned up and stuff like that, and I just leave him there, what's going to happen? What does he know more? Chances of he going to go back that way because that's what he's comfortable of. But if I bring him here and I start showing him of other options that are there, he needs to take that. So he needs to make those choices.
Well, ultimately, it is his choice. But addiction is another thing. Huh? I mean, addiction is something that people. Addiction means addiction. Means
you're addicted.
I'm addicted. I can't.
That's why there's rehab, right?
Yeah, rehab. And I mean, often rehab takes many attempts. And many people who go into rehab never come out of it because I mean, it becomes an illness, which is all-consuming. But that's why Alcoholics Anonymous have these support groups.
Sure.
So once you come out of it, you don't just go back. I mean, you every single week go to the group, and I mean that's the band of brothers. That's the support. Which we need. We absolutely need. You know, we've got weaknesses. We've got struggles. You know,
no, of course we all do.
Be. And you know, the more we carry it alone, the more likely it is to overcome us. The more we're able to share and walk together and destigmatize it, the more we're able to succeed and overcome.
I think this topic needs us to bring in experts as well,
Very
and bring
much
in
so.
the professionals, and just unpack the whole notion around depression, and bring guys who have been through it, who've survived it, bring guys who are still struggling with it, because it's a daily a struggle. Before I let you guys go, you guys are running organizations that have the word father in them. Yours is Father a Nation. Yours is Father Figure. What was the relationship like between yourselves and your fathers? Because there's no way that you would have created these organizations from nowhere. There has to be some point of reference or inspiration that made you to decide to do this. So I'll start with you, Craig. How was your relationship with your father? Is your father still alive?
He is still alive, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I think the generation of fathers that raised my generation was there but not there.
Sure.
Present but not emotionally engaged at all. You know, all performance driven. You know,
do this, do that.
Well, if you score a goal, well done, son. If you get a good report card, well done. But if you don't, there's no hugging, there's no affection, there's no emotional engagement whatsoever.
Sure.
So that, I had a younger brother who committed suicide.
Sure.
Took his own life when he was 21 years old.
Sure.
So the relationship with the father was tough, difficult, in many ways disempowering. A lot of woundedness to deal with as a result of that.
Right. Did you blame your father for your brother's decision?
I won't go into that, him still being alive. But
sure.
there was a very strong element of that. I mean, fathers are the most important men in their children's lives.
Yeah,
absolutely.
They have a powerful impact on their daughters and their sons. Massive.
Yeah, we see that with Titi.
Yeah.
No, and with yourself.
It's huge. But what really inspired me was my kids. I was a single dad for many years, and my kids inspired me. My daughter, quick story. Is it time for quick story?
Yeah, quick.
So she had an operation on her heart when she was about 2.5 years old. And luckily, instead of open heart surgery, great technology, it's a little catheter.
Sure.
But when it came time for surgery, I said to the doc, she was petrified. And I said to the doc, please can I carry her in to the theatre? And he said they don't normally allow it, but they allowed me. I had to scrub up and whatever. So I carried her in. She fell asleep in my arms with anesthetic. I handed her over to the surgeon just for comfort, I was there when she woke up. 1 month later, it was a great success. 1 month later, we were at my house having a braai, and I had a bunch of mates around. And
sure.
She was standing next to me. My one friend said to her, Blythe, I believe you were in hospital recently. And she looked up at him and she said, yes. She said, my heart was broken. She said, but my daddy fixed it.
Oh.
I tell you guys, I mean, I had
come on. Let me give you another one.
I had to leave. I had tears,
Man.
But she gave me the gift of seeing myself through her eyes. And I was her hero. And I tell you what, I realized that I did hold her heart in my hands. And I held my son's heart in my hands. And how I pitched up as a man and a father would have a massive impact on them.
Absolutely.
And then I saw, being a single dad, their friends who didn't have fathers, how devastated.
Sure.
There was drugs, there were suicides, there were beatings, from boys who did not have father figures.
Yeah.
Girls became very promiscuous, because there was no father to set
no point
the bar.
of reference. Yeah.
No point. So, I mean, for me, that was the inspiration.
Sure.
To say we need fathers, man, and good fathers, and
We
engaged
need
fathers.
Good fathers. Nati, your parting shot?
So, a child's character, just to add to that, comes from a father, man.
Yeah.
You play with your kids all the time, and it's girls.
Yeah.
But you're building a good, confident character there.
Yeah.
And by doing that, that kid grows up knowing that the definition of love I know. I might not seek the same kind of love from a man as my dad.
Yeah.
But I know the fundamentals of love.
Yes.
And that's what we're talking about. I'm a firstborn child with my dad. So 4 of us.
He's still alive?
My dad is still alive.
Right.
And me being the first child, my dad, I think he had lots of expectations. I started only living with my dad at the age of 14 years old. When my parents got married, we moved to the suburbs, from Gugulethu to the suburbs. And I remember the first conversation, and I can still remember he was fixing the lights and stuff like that. And he asked myself and my brother, your surnames, would you mind if your surname changed from your mom's to mine? And I'm like, his surname doesn't sound nice.
You're 14.
Yeah, I'm like, my mom's surname is Siko, nice and short, and he's Mahlanyana. And I'm like, yo,
so long.
It's like, yo, it's an ugly surname. But I think we said no to him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Time passed, and like my mom said, apparently your dad wasn't happy about the fact that you guys said you don't want to change your surname. I'm like, this guy asked us ourselves. He gave us a choice whether to want to change to this or that.
He gave
and
you
it's
the
asking
option.
kids, stuff like that. There was this other instant where he came to pick us up from my mom's place and jumped into the car, and he accused me of something. Till today, I probably was 14. And he said that I must stop speaking about him in public about that. I still don't know what he was talking about.
Sure.
So what I'm trying to say, the relationship with my dad is that I grew up in a way kind of afraid of my dad. He spoke in, I don't say in riddles, but my father is still someone I look up to. There's a lot of stuff that he wants from me. I think he comes from an era where you must study and do this. I dropped out twice. I dropped out from information systems, from marketing and stuff like that. But I think that this big head of mine is not just big. There's a lot in here.
Right.
And I'm like, nah, I don't need school. I'm going to do this myself. And when I dropped out the second time, it's like, you're going to pay those fees yourself. I'm like, okay, fine. I'm working now. I'm going to do those stuff. But the relationship between myself and my dad, even now when I'm going to Cape Town again, is that I'm like, don't know what to expect. But he messaged me this week. Is like, hey, we haven't chatted in a while, but this and that. And I'm like, okay. I was sensing the waters. But I'm a 41-year-old man right now to still be afraid of this
father.
guy. Till today, I have never drank alcohol in front of my dad. My friends do, and I'll be the designated driver. Not that he's never said don't drink alcohol in front of me.
It's the
but
fear.
It's that thing of in front of this guy I can't do it.
Yeah. Sure.
So for me it's not really a healthy relationship. I think between myself and my kids, that's where the love came in. Like, is that I don't know, automatically it came in a way where I'm going to be this way for these kids. I'm going to, even if I scale at my kids, they know after 5 minutes. I've even overheard them saying, yeah, man.
Yeah, leave him. He'll be fine.
After
He'll come
5
around.
minutes, we're going to get him.
He'll come around.
So they already know, this one is just...
He's a barking dog.
And for me, it's not... I love it that way, knowing that I know my dad.
They understand.
There's going to be times when he's going to be frustrated at us,
but he'll come
spank our
around.
ass, but he's going to come around.
Love that. Gentlemen, I wish we had more time. I appreciate you for coming through. You're definitely going to come back again because I think there's a lot of issues we need to unpack. I'm going to bring you guys back in your individual capacities to deal with specific issues around the work that you guys do as father and nation and father figure. And again, I'm putting the challenge on to us, the three of us. I cannot wait for the day we can put together an event and pull all these men and boys into one space as father and nation, father figure, and AMATYMA.
Let's make it happen.
Let's make it happen. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Sivale City. Danko.